look at the map vetoes. Here you go. Nip first, Team 1 second.
Where shall we go?
Bank and Clubhouse off the board automatically. And here come your bans.
Well,
So,
no repeats.
looks like we could go to Coastline or Border. I'm expecting this to be Border. I mean, if from now, nope. But no, look at that,
Coastline,
Coastline. Okay.
Should be fun.
So actually, as much as I'm expecting it to be Border in that situation, we have been seeing more Coastline than Border lately. So not that crazy of a surprise.
No, not at all. It's good to see Coastline really doing well as a map in terms of a lot of teams wanting to play it, playing it different ways, different bomb sites, seemingly very viable on all four. Whereas you can't necessarily say the same thing about Border. Yes, all four have been shown to be viable, but it still really relies pretty heavily on two of them. As opposed to Coastline, I wouldn't say the same necessarily, although maybe more like 3.
I think the thing with Coastline is that all of the bomb sites are somewhat equally defensible, as much as they're not necessarily one more viable than another. It's just that they're all kind of as viable as you can get on the map. Not one is that much better than the rest.
True.
Community vote. Who's gonna win? Why don't you tell us?
They were right last time. So,
Okay.
they think this might be Ninjas in Pyjamas' chance to kind of come back? I mean,
They were right last time, as you said.
high expectations in Ninjas Pyjamas to make it happen. No, I think I would like to see them make some comeback, especially if it's a middle of the pack team that doesn't really take away from the lead ones. It's not really going to shove anyone else into 8th place. It just makes it more competitive at the bottom. So from a pure competition standpoint, I suppose I would like to see Ninjas Pyjamas take this out just to keep the leaderboard interesting. But
They also, the community vote has a 100% accuracy today. So maybe they'll be able to push that all the way through all the matches.
Well, either way, let's hope it's an interesting one. We have had some interesting ones so far, although sometimes they've gone a little lopsided towards the end.
Yeah, that last match was a good example of lopsided. I mean, Black Dragons were losing so hard, and then suddenly Pain is now losing every single round, and it was crazy. 5 rounds in a row, and Black Dragons managed to lock it out, defying the start of the match by, fulfilling the prophecy of the community vote.
The prophecy.
Yeah, so all that said, though, here we have it. Coastline, we're going to be loading in, and Ninja Pyjamas on attack, T1 on defense, and we got some good luck, have funs coming out in the chat. We'll get everything started.
Always good to see that camaraderie, especially in a region as tight as Brazil, where everyone knows everyone very well. Not that other regions aren't pretty much to that point with how most of the players around have been around for quite a while. Need us repeat the predictable Lion ban, of course. But the second one has been a little more of a question mark, I suppose. It's been some more interesting choices coming out, although the Blackbeard on console wasn't necessarily unpredictable at all. But we could see some interesting ones. I mean, Ying is a common one on this, for at least for EU, because of the way someone like Hungry plays it. And there it is. It is one that is a bit of a struggle to deal with on a couple of the bomb sites because of how effective those candles can be for a push and plant. So not surprised to see that come out. The big question mark is, will we see a Clash Mira? Will we see some variety? Starting off without the variety. No. I mean, this usually falls down onto an Echo Maestro or a Clash, but we also have seen Valkyrie bands as well. But there's the Clash. So nothing too crazy on the bans, at least suiting the map itself.
Yeah, the Clash being banned out, not a crazy surprise. Maverick's still going to be in play, so that can be worked in somewhere.
I still like it on an attack on Theater Wall.
Yeah, there are definitely some good places to use that. Mira being gone means certain sites are going to be a lot harder to defend, especially with Clash being gone. Because if you don't have a Mira, you can still use Clash to do somewhat similar things, but in terms of information gathering, it's not the same as a Mira. But it's supplemental. It's a stopgap solution if the ban should pop up. If you really need to gather information on your opponents, then you could play the Mira facing out of Projector into Master.
Well, either way, at least they will still have Evil Eyes and the Black Eyes, as well as Pulse, to be able to get a lot of intel on the attackers as they approach. We didn't see a Maverick pick, but we did see a 6th pick from the Blitz that Kamikaze was teasing over to the Jackal. So that might help here. And this is a map that is notoriously hard for roamers to stay alive for any kind of significant period of time because of the way it's a square kind of donut shape and the courtyard in the middle being sometimes a bit of a death trap depending on how you're playing and how late in the round it is.
I think the defenders have figured out how to avoid that death trap.
Yeah,
in
it's
the middle
gotten
of
a
the
lot
map
better,
at
I
this point.
think.
Yeah, it's just something you have to factor in as a player, and once you really like figure it out, once you're like, oh yeah, I can't be here because there's a skylight that can destroy me if I choose to rotate that area, then it's not that hard to avoid anymore.
I feel like a lot of players instead will kind of play for control of lobby or the security room, and then try and use that to be able to push out to a courtyard when they're playing kitchen, for example, on a defense side, and sometimes even on bar to be able to just push back and just use it as a crossing point, or very, very late in the round and kind of retake situations. But either way, we will be starting in penthouse.
Yep.
Oh.
So
Spotted that one.
typically the default site. It's kind of confusing to me that we actually are having it being played as the first one, though, considering there is no Mira in play. You can see Ninja Pyjamas are going to be focusing on clearing out the roamers underneath kitchen, and that is a very good call. We do have 2 C4s downstairs, and the Valkyrie and the Pulse both. At least I believe the Valkyrie's playing downstairs. Can't honestly tell, but we do have at least the Pulse downstairs, that's for sure. And nade up through the window. Actually, that's the Valkyrie Eyeblacks playing on the main site window. Going to eat a lot of damage before falling back to the A site. The damage is done, and the pressure applied. Ninja Pyjamas is still trying to find those roamers downstairs, but they're not putting a lot of emphasis on it. I mean, they have the barrels pointing in the right direction, but they're not pushing because there's no one droning for those roam clears.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing a lot of droning for themselves to be able to execute. Like Julio, for example, droned through his grenade. Now he's droning again for himself to potentially push in. Eyeblack still has plenty of time to go for a reset if he wanted to, but in this case, the longer he waits to do that, of course, the less viable that becomes. And I find that could be kind of important because when you go for a C4 throw, there's a good chance you might take some damage in the process, and being low on health already might mean you end up with a kill. But speaking of which, PZD just barely finds the head, and Kamikaze gets a second.
So Ninja Pyjamas, good start to this round as we come down to the last minute of it. T1 haven't been able to make anything work for them. And he's still got control over the site here for T1, but Ninja Pyjamas are starting to make that a little bit more difficult. Now, a quick reset outside there, as you can see. Wag will pick up his teammate, Zofia, who has been down, or was down. Hugzor going to get the first kill for T1 onto PZD, who was pushing in downstairs. And Panico, still playing inside of that kitchen, can still do a C4 from below. He's not going to wait for the diffuser to start being planted, though. Kind of a foolish move there, especially considering we're in the last 25 seconds. Ion in the main hallway will be trying to hold the flank of his teammate Hugzord, so Hugzord can deny the plant. With the smokes from Jackal, though, he might not be successful in that endeavor. And as he attempts to push through, Julio says hello and finishes him off. Psycho also takes out Panico. Ion now the last defender, and the diffuser has been planted. So this is not an easy situation for Ion, and it should pretty much a surefire loss.
Well, a good start from Ninjas in Pyjamas, who we were talking about earlier, have been struggling quite a bit. They definitely need these points, as did Black Dragons. So maybe we'll see both of them come up from the bottom. Although, if you're both coming up from the bottom, that kind of potentially, depending on how the points shake out, could leave you both at the bottom yet again.
Yeah, one of the big things with draws, as an example to reinforce that fact, is if you get a draw, you're just losing out on so much efficiency. I mean, it's not as bad as a loss, sure. But, oh boy, you can get 2 teams that are very, very good, both high-caliber squads or even low-caliber squads, like the top, the cream of the crop or the bottom, either way. And you can have these teams that they whether they need the points or they're just fighting to solidify their position at the top, get a draw, and then neither get what they want out of that situation. So you really need to be getting the win. And I think Ninjas and Pyjamas specifically in this matchup, they have to get this win. If they can't start winning at this point in the season, then and against teams like T1, then I think it's all over for them.
Yeah, definitely a tough spot to be in, and you definitely get a bit demoralized being that late into the season and that far down, and that can be a bit of a death spiral at times for teams, depending on how their mentality holds up to that. At least Team 1, though, picking a better bomb site this time. This is a much more defensible bomb site. Kitchen kind of being, I'd say, probably the strongest defensive site at the moment, when I was mentioning earlier. Although I remember asking Ranger of the coach of Rogue in Montreal why they play Penthouse as a primary even with Mirror Band, and his opinion is that Penthouse is still the best bomb site there is. We just don't usually see that borne out by most teams.
Yep. Definitely an opinion thing, though.
Yeah.
Ranger also really likes Cafe.
So that says something.
I mean, that's the thing, though. There are certain players and individuals who are just better at maps like Cafe. Like, for example, Hot and Cold, you stick him on Ash on Cafe, and he just destroys everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily about what map is good and bad. It's about what map your players prefer to be on, because sometimes they just, they'll just excel on certain maps. Like, as an example, we saw in SSG versus Evil Geniuses earlier in this week, Necrox was subbing in for MVK. That was a 6-2 in EG's favor. And the reason that is because I know for a fact, Amar, Necrox, he really likes Consulate. Like, he's just a really good Consulate player, and he played out of his mind there. He was the top performer in the match. So just something to consider. Personal preference plays a big part.
Which is funny considering they played without him because he was the coach in Montreal, and they played so much Consulate and lost it almost every single time.
He is, I think, maybe he's just their Consulate player.
Either way, though, it looks like Jackal is going to track down Panico. So despite him throwing goo mines obviously right in their face, they are starting to lose control of this bomb site. And they actually have the wall to theater open above to take from above and then start to put pressure down onto the kitchen. So they've got to hold this as long as possible or potentially rotate down to the actual site.
See Kamikaze just looking for these fights. He knows that the opponents are just on the other side of the door, but it's also hard to fight two different players at once. iBlack's doing his best seizure impression, and he'll be trying to hold on to security as long as he possibly can while he waits out this round.
Well, Kamikaze's still pretty much holding the same spot and still tracking this Lesion. They have yet to execute him, though. Still a 5v5 this late in the round. Finally going to find some other footprints, this time with the Valkyrie. So iBlacks, who did get grenaded last time, going to be hunted this time instead. But on a different bomb site where you can play a lot more flexible on this roam, I think. However, just because it's more flexible, they just don't seem to be hunting the roamers down effectively enough, which is surprising.
Yeah, you can see from the main lobby, the Lesion will be putting some fire on it. He has been droned out, and he'll be calling out positions for his teammates outside of the front door. But you can see this drone from Psycho so perfectly placed. GDN going to get the first kill of the round, though, as the last 20 seconds come into play. Julia will go down. There's been a very slow one so far for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and it looks like T1 is going to be able to lock this out with relative ease. Poor peek there from Ion, giving too many prompts to PZD before actually just going for the fight. But it's not going to matter as Panico and Hugzord are just locking this down. PZD in the site, but with so little HP, he dies to a Lesion trap. And T1 will take their first round on the second.
Much better defense that time than we saw from Penthouse. A lot of that came down to the fact that, of course, NIP were not able to really find any of the roamers and take them down. They got into situations where they could almost engage with them, but it was maybe just a little bit of fear or lack of feeling that they had the advantage or the drop onto the defenders meant they just were never able to actually get a man count advantage that they should have gotten early on. Instead, they were forced to fight it down at the very bottom where the defenders had the advantage, and you saw how that went down, just bottlenecked into the site due to lack of time. We'll go back to Penthouse, though, to try that one more time.
Yep, T1 adamant that they can, in fact, successfully defend this site. So they'll double up on it. Kitchen, though, as a site, as we've talked about before, is one of the more defensible sites on this map. It's not that much better than any of the other ones, but some consider it to be pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we just saw Born out there in the last round. Hopefully this time Panico, who probably will be in the kitchen again, will hold his horses on that C4 this time, maybe till there's actually a plant going down. Try and be a little more effective.
Something to actually see for.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're coming down to the last 25 seconds as a pulse downstairs with C4 and you're not being pressured at all by the attackers, the clear decision there is, hey, I'm going to wait till they start planting.
Well, it's just initial pressure on them as well in the plant spot. They have to start to look for a spot where they can plant and not have to worry about you. And that's pretty much the bed.
Yeah, it is the bed. And even if they're on the bed, usually the defenders will open up holes there so the C4 can't arc on top of the bed. Or, I mean, at that point, you're just so exposed as an attacker. Anyone inside of a projector or home theater has an easy kill on you.
It's definitely been the case. So we'll see how they play it out this round, though. That could come down to the wire there at the end, or we could see just a slaughter come out from the attackers where they don't need to plant. So we'll see. They do have plenty of utility on the defense side, though, to be able to stall a plant out and potentially stop it if Ninjas in Pyjamas aren't able to get some of that early man advantage that they struggled with last round.
Well, it just looks like information gathering early into this round. Trying to find out where Ninjas of Pyjamas wants to push from. They don't really have a clear idea to start it off. Sometimes you see teams like will hover like this, where they're just trying to find the holes in the defense. But
Yeah.
they can be a little bit slow on it, and you can waste entire minutes.
Yeah, sometimes they're just hoping for an easy pick as well, due to an over-aggressive defender.
Well, it's not going to happen so far for T1. They have a really interesting position here for Ion, who is going to put some damage onto Kamikaze for Panico and Ion both be taken down. So that's the bottom floor completely cleared out for Ninja Pyjamas. Props to them. That time spent in the early round really working off for them, or paying off for them, pardon. iBlack's going to try and control this main lobby. Good line of sight here into the bathroom. As soon as any of the attackers start to rotate out of that bathroom, you'll see iBlack's get the kill, unless he's droned out and challenged directly. Still a decent chunk of time here for Ninjas of Pyjamas, and they're going to start to rotate up to a VIP take.
Well, Kamikaze being low on health here definitely could be a little problematic if he's trying to go for any kind of scans. But the man advantage that they have, I think, is probably not going to be as much of an issue, but they do need to start playing time advantage here. You see the Yokai drone is going to be able to stall them out a little bit if they try and push from the VIP site, although that's not the bomb site, so it's a situation where it's not going to stop the plant itself, which may end up being a misplay from Hugzord if he doesn't have the ability to switch that drone to the right place at the right time. But GDN going to use his smokes instead on Julio after taking a bit of damage.
The Evil Eye will also deny a Thermite, it seems, inside of VIP, but will it be able to get the second is the question. You can see iBlack's not wanting to rotate back into the site. Psycho will take out Hugzord. Good job to him to eliminate that Echo. No more Yokai for the plant. Inside the hallway, though, iBlack's will take out Psycho before Kamikaze eliminates GDN. So no plant denial here for T1, and Ninjas Pyjamas will take their second round. They are really good at attacking that penthouse.
Yeah, definitely not somewhere they should go back to for any other attempts here, I think. Unless you know something that you just weren't doing before that you absolutely should be doing and would work. Nonetheless, this is where you start to go to hookah or bar at this point and switch off. You can go back to kitchen after one more defense, but for now, they're going to have to pick somewhere else. And I suppose they could pick penthouse, but no, they're going to go with bar, which is the smart choice, I think, here.
Absolutely. Double bar is a very defensible site. You just got to have the right strategy to make it happen. Takes a lot of coordination, but given how proficient Ninja Pyjamas are at attacking penthouse, I think this rotation is sensible. No billiards hold for T1 just yet, though. They still have that as an option later on.
Yeah, that one can be difficult for some teams to hold. It's a little bit of a trickier one. But nonetheless, some teams have very good strategies on it. The same, it can be said for blue bar, sunrise bars you just mentioned. So
yeah, I think double bar and billiards are on even footing when it comes to how difficult they are to hold.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying earlier is that none of the bomb sites are like especially great, but in the case, I'd say kitchen is still kind of the predominant one in terms of just success rate probably at this point.
Yeah, no, kitchen is the site right now in the meta, but well, these things change. It has to do a lot with what teams are actually practicing at the time.
Yeah, that's a big factor as well. What teams are liking to play Coastline, what teams are practicing, how the scrims are going for that, whether or not they get that positive reinforcement to say this is a good site or not. To play it in Pro League matches, it matters. We'll see if the iBlacks on the Vigil, though, is going to be a more effective roam, and they'll actually able to get a second defensive win, because being able to roam effectively was a big part of why they were able to win that kitchen defense before, and this is, again, another downstairs bomb site. So if they can stay upstairs and do their thing for a significant amount of time and hold off hookah, I could see this working out for them and bringing it to a 2-2.
Definitely possible. But if Ninjas Pyjamas manage to get this win, then they're already confirming that they'll win the half. And that's a really strong start. Now, we've always talked about how, in the past, I think it's been a attacker-sided map, Coastline. But we've been seeing a lot of that actually change recently. Where it's a lot more even than it once was. So there's definitely potential here for T1 to take this half, even though they are currently down one round.
Well, they are definitely going to try and defend hookah, but they're doing it with the most predictable of defenses, of course, which is this hole being opened up here. Pretty much every team does that just about every time. So that's not really going to be a big sneaky surprise, but he is counting on, of course, the fact that he's vigil on a staircase means they're going to have a lot of trouble identifying exactly where he actually is with the drone. Well, so far, a lot of shots coming out, a lot of pre-firing, but no one really landing shots on each other. No damage being taken out outside of PZD on the Ash, taking a smidge of damage. This is definitely a slow going in terms of aggression paying off here, because they're mostly just trying to pre-fire and land these angles. This Vigil, though, might have a surprise for them.
Yeah, he's just continuing to play on those blue stairs, trying to find a kill or just disrupt the push as much as possible. There's not a large force that's holding Hookah right now. Because of that, Ninjas and Pyjamas is going to be able to make that push. PZD has the control he wants. Does not seem to be anyone here trying to stop him. He has taken a lot of damage from the Maestro earlier in the round, but not enough to kill him, of course. My Blacks downstairs now trying to prevent the push. They know they've lost control over Hookah. T1 as such are going to be looking up as they defend down.
Well, it's definitely still working out in T1's favor because of the fact that they haven't taken any damage, and there's less than a minute left, and they still have good control of the site itself. They still have 2 smoke canisters, but this Ash up here is what they need to take out. If they can take out PZD, who's low on health, unfortunately for GDN, he's really struggling with that, but does finish the job. That gives them the nice turnaround, but at least Psycho picking one up first.
The push from Ninjas and Pyjamas completely stopped. T1 holding on to their positions, and suddenly it has turned from a 5-on-5 to a 1-on-4 as GDN gets his second kill. Hugzord gets his second, and Ninjas and Pyjamas again shut out. So 2-2, and T1 start to fight back. Unsuccessful every time they went to Penthouse, but T1 clearly adept at every other site so far.
Well, on the upside, they can go back to Kitchen again, which they will do. So we could see this, as you were saying, come out a 3-2 in favor of T1 if they can pull off Kitchen again.
I do see it as very likely, but as much as Kitchen is a good site, it is not completely impervious to attack.
Yeah, it definitely is. It has some weaknesses in some of that top-down control that we saw, for example, PZD trying to use on Hookah down into the bar.
Yeah. Well, that's on Ninja Pyjamas to use those opportunities, but it's up to them. So, operator selection, pretty standard. Valkyrie going to give a lot of information, Maestro as well. Legion just for that added effect of slowing down your opponents. Kamikaze going to be bringing the Jackal to try and clear out the roamers. That's definitely a lot of power potential from Ninjas in Pyjamas if they are trying to clear the top floor. Once they do clear the top floor, they have an abundance of soft destruction. In fact, 4 operators with soft destruction. And it'll probably be a pretty easy job of opening up holes and doing a lot of damage to T1 from above. But
you also just have to worry about those shotguns from below, right?
Yeah, but it also does depend on how they choose to attack, because while they do have an abundance of soft destruction, that's not going to pigeonhole them into an attack from the top floor. I think most teams in this instance are probably going to push from the west side, the Sunrise Bar, and trying to apply pressure to the site.
Well, they did look like they were at least trying to hold some control over Hookah, so that could be some early contest there if he doesn't just fall back, if he hasn't already fallen back off that side. But that is the typical thing, is usually attack from the opposite diagonal corner on this map. You know, if they're on Penthouse or Kitchen, you attack from Hookah or Bar first, and vice versa, because you want to get control over the other corner of the square donut first, and doing so usually you're able to push out the roamers effectively. But so far they're a little bit slow in doing that.
Do you know I've actually had a square donut before?
That sounds delicious. I wouldn't mind one right now.
I mean, it tastes the same as a normal donut. It was just square.
So I guess the shape does not matter. That's important to know. So I guess there are the square ones that are like the apple-filled ones and stuff that don't have a hole in the middle as well.
Well, that's not a donut,
No,
really, then,
it's
at
true.
that point. It's just a pastry. I mean, a
Well,
nondescript pastry. I'm not sure of the specifics, but yeah. The shape does not affect the taste, and skins do not get you wins.
All right, well, 2 important lessons learned already. Hopefully Nip can learn those as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, both teams right now in an even round count. iBlacks will catch that rotation there from Psycho. But there is another attacker at the end of the hallway, and iBlack's position will be called out, but that other attacker not springing into action, allowing iBlacks to fall back, and now he's the one with support. iBlacks will get the kill into Psycho, but Kamikaze immediate refrag onto Ion. So back and forth a little bit here with T1 and Nip on this top floor roam. The flashes will clear out the ADS though, and iBlacks now knows he's exposed from the penthouse. He's trying to hold the hallway and penthouse both. Not an easy task. He's also got the rotation in the back of projectors, so it's just getting worse and worse for iBlacks. He is, however, playing it correctly, just wasting as much time as is possible. Pre-fire here as he hears the Ash approaching, and PZD will go down. So not all bad here for T1. Ninja Pyjamas will still get the control that they do want, but it's not a sure thing.
No, it's perfect here. It's a 3v3 situation, and they've managed to burn up down to the last 45 seconds. This is actually in the driver's seat here for Team 1 if this push isn't aggressive enough or lands enough kills. Early on, we saw GDN very effective in Sunrise Bar last time with that shotgun. And then Panico going to eliminate one more, bring it down to that 2v3. Huge advantage now for Team 1.
I just need to wait. You can see Ninja Pyjamas relocating to try and catch their opponents off guard. We do have what I believe to be Panic in the hallway. It's not a great position for Panico to be playing, and Julio's going to get a kill because of it. But as they push into the site, it's Legion traps and gas canisters aplenty. Hugzord from the back there, as you can see on the kitchen window, able to get the final 2 kills. Well controlled for T1, and they will finish the first half with a victory.
Well, that definitely bodes well for them. I think it's pretty clear what their one weakness was, which is Penthouse.
Yeah,
Had they not played that?
The only side they couldn't win.
Yeah. So that was a good defense on them. Unfortunately, it looks like there might be an audio issue and we might have to re-host the game, but there's always the appropriate time to do it right at the halfway point.
I suppose.
We need a little halfway show for these each time, right? But I guess that's us.
Yeah. Well, so we'll re-host everything up and get the game back in action soon.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't take too long, but we, of course, have to set up the exact settings for the previous rounds that happened. Again, one of those features that is fantastic for you, the viewer, but unfortunately means it takes a little bit longer the further we are into a match.
Yeah.
But either way, I think this is a good pause point for NIP to figure out how did we lose the advantages we had. We can only seem to attack one bomb site. It would be interesting if Ninjas in Pyjamas can successfully defend that bomb site.
Yeah, if NIP go to Penthouse, which is likely, most teams prefer to go to Penthouse first, and they manage to make that work for them, then that's going to be a large mental advantage, if nothing else, over T1. Though, they did lose the first half at the disadvantage. They are currently down the round, so they're the ones who have ground to make up for.
Yeah, I mean, it's only one round, but it definitely matters as you start to slide into, let's say the first round goes over to Team 1. That's where it really starts to snowball. I mean, it's just numbers, but there's a mentality attached to that does affect a team. And when you can only get to 5 or 6, I guess if you could manage to lock it out, it's tough. I mean, there's not this 3-round overtime that you have as a saving grace or anything like that.
It can be tough, yeah. I think it has to do with mental fortitude, but that's something that develops over time. I think most of these teams are in a good position in that way. All that said, we're going to throw to a quick break. We'll be back once the game gets started up again.
Stylish on the outside, savage on the inside. Legion by Lenovo.
All right, here we go. Straight into it. That is what I like to see. Right back into the game. We're going to go into hookah for the first time here, as you mentioned, as you were calling it billiards earlier. So that is going to be interesting to see. That is Ninjas Pyjamas' primary bomb site from the looks of it here, unless that's a throwaway. But that should be interesting to see if they are going to defend that any better than we saw from the penthouse defenses of Team 1. Little six-pick there from Buck to Sledge. Always funny to see that. I mentioned before, too, how that was slightly disadvantageous to the match we saw earlier in terms of not being able to do what Buck can do upwards. But Sledge is a little better now that the site misalignment stuff has been fixed, but also got nerfed at the same time by the SMG-11 recoil. So I'd favor Buck because he also got a buff to the recoil of the C8. So I'd say overall between those two, Buck's in a better position.
Actually, the recoil of the C8 is pretty much the same. It's just the site misalignment makes it easier to control.
Well then.
Like the actual recoil, like if you check out the patterns just on the wall, it's very similar.
Gotcha.
It's just so much easier to control because now you can see where the bullets are going.
Same with the L85,
yeah.
I imagine as well. But
yeah, I mean, well,
yeah.
the L85 didn't have recoil at the beginning, and it still doesn't have recoil.
That's true. You don't have to worry about that. Those site misalignment though made it kind of funky to tap fire even.
Yeah, the site misalignment fix was huge for a lot of guns.
Yeah, that was just always the example we used was the L85.
Yeah, because I mean it was the most apparent because it didn't actually have recoil, so you could see when the bullets weren't going where they were supposed to.
That's a good point.
I think the site misalignment fix though overall for all guns is one of those things where it's like it's gonna go up there with the lighting patch.
Yeah, and we're gonna forget about it sooner or later. Like we're gonna stop talking about it and just take it for granted at some point.
Yeah, old players will remember when the lighting in this game was so bad you just couldn't see your opponent half the time.
Yeah, you didn't want to repel windows. Like
yeah,
it was scary.
It was indeed. But thank you, Ubisoft. You guys fixed it, and thanks for the site misalignment fix. It's a big one. So, Ninja Pyjamas, again, defending billiards. And this is, again, as you talked about, as we talked about, as has been talked about, the very first time we have seen billiards on this match. Wag's Yokai drone will be taken out by iBlacks. Good use of the IQ ability there to take out that Yokai and establish an advantage for the attackers.
It seems like that's been the biggest use we've seen so far of the IQ. I mean, there might be other guys just getting picked up and things like that, but we've seen some good countering, especially on console as well, of the Yokai drones. And, I mean, that's a great pick. When he has two of them now, I mean, back when it was one, that was more devastating. When he has two, it's still, still pretty strong because now that he can't split them up, he can't set up a second one. It's a good situation to be in for IQ, and taking away the grenades may be working out, but nope, Panico. We were just talking about the L85. Accuracy definitely showing up there.
Julio having a bad day there, man. It's a bit of an oof. And T1 have control of Aqua as well. And there's like actually nothing here to stop Ion on the rest of his team from pushing in through Aqua. After Panico, or sorry, rather, Panico got Julio. This should be a pretty easy take for T1.
Yeah, they also got the Echo drones out as well.
As Psycho disconnects as well, this is getting worse and worse for Ninjas Pyjamas. They are going to get a kill. Kamikaze will finally be eliminated by Hugzord. And PZD from behind will get GDM before Hugs gets his second in the post plant. Wag unable to deny the plant because the Yokai drones were eliminated so much earlier in the round. Nice shot though onto Ion. Excellent headshot. He's got a lit Hugzord, so this is still winnable for the Echo. If he can find the angle onto the Jackal, and then also onto iBlacks. As he peeks around on the bomb, though, he does not check the corner of Aqua, and Hugzord will get his third kill and the final kill. T1 takes the round.
Nicely done. There's the point advantage now in a 4-2 situation now, so they took the lead big time. Not sure if we're going to have to do a remake. I would imagine we would have to if he can't get back in time, which does not look like he's done. So we might have to give it a second here. Yep, looks like we're going to have to do a remake because they are not able to get him back in time. Although, not sure that would have changed things too much for that round. But either way, a great round for Team 1, who are coming on strong. This is looking like
Yeah.
Nip not quite taking the initiative we saw from Black Dragons earlier.
That was 3 in a row for T1. So props to them for that. It's very similar to what we saw in BD Pain.
Yeah.
Where Pain put themselves up 3 rounds and then BD won 5 in a row. But we're going to throw to a break until we get everything sorted out again. So we'll see you in just a bit.
We apologize for the rehost there, but of course we are going to try and get back to this as quick as possible, though. Make sure you can watch the rest of this game. And we are going to go to Kitchen for our second bomb site, so they are definitely not going to try Penthouse anytime soon here.
Yep, going to Kitchen instead. And they have been unable to defend anything. Of course, we're only on their second defensive round, but Ninjas and Pyjamas have been struggling so far in these last 3 rounds. Billiards was unsuccessful thanks to them leaving Aqua just undefended, really. Julio was the one who was put in a position to try and hold Aqua, but from the minibar in Bill, and he was taken out by Panico. After that, it was an easy take for T1.
Yeah, definitely a great round, and that's of course them taking advantage of that as well, right? They saw that opportunity, got that kill into Julio first. That was the smoke down. They took out all the yokais with the IQ and then just completely capitalized on all the advantage they had. Made it a good round, although it was a nice attempt by the Echo to try and clutch it out. Nonetheless, it was somewhat futile at that point. We'll see if this round can go equally in favor of Team 1, but so far I'm feeling like even if Nip win this round, this is looking like a Team 1 match.
Definitely feels like T1 is in control right now. Ninjas and Pyjamas have managed to get 2 rounds, of course, but they were They were at the beginning of the match, and since then, Ninjas Pyjamas have been looking
Weak.
weak. Yeah, it's a good word to use to describe them. I mean, of course, they are right now the bottom team in the region, and so assuredly so as well.
Yeah,
Like not just the bottom team, but the really having trouble so
Yeah.
far.
I mean, it was a tie situation bottom team before, but after the victory of BD in that last matchup, that does definitely leave them squarely on the bottom. We'll see, though, if they could change that, but it's definitely not looking like it.
Yeah, and BD, even after winning, they're still in 7th place. They didn't manage to propel themselves forward, from my understanding. Here we go, T1, a rush in through delivery. Kamikaze takes out Hugzord, sprays through the wall. Yokai Drone in a position to deny the diffuser. Kamikaze's going to go down as well to iBlex. Julio able to refrag it, though, on iBlex. Immediately, Julio from the bathroom will take out Ion, but the diffuser's been planted. So
Wow.
into 2 now, make that 1 versus 4. The diffuser down, but Panico unable to win any more fights. That was a very quick round from T1 as they just rushed their way in through delivery. And Ninjas Pyjamas read the push quickly and reacted appropriately.
Interesting attempt, but yeah, ultimately did not work out. It was surprising how fast they got that plant down, despite the Echo Drone being in there to be able to try and deny it. Either way, though, didn't work out for them. They just didn't have the control afterwards, and that is why you usually don't see a lot of rush plants. It's a situation where it's great that you can get the diffuser down and force them into a compromised position, but you are just as compromised as you're running away from the bomb usually, and that's going to put your back to them. Makes it very difficult to be able to pull off. Looks like Ninjas Pyjamas having trouble deciding between going back to Hookah or playing Penthouse. In this case, they are going to go with Penthouse. This could be another nail in their coffin if they can't defend it better than we saw from Team 1.
It certainly could result in a bit of a struggle here. But this, of course, is their first time actually defending the site, which means, it's possible that they're going to have a great time holding here as opposed to their opponents.
Certainly possible.
Every team plays differently on sites like this.
I feel like a lot of times the way we see a successful defense on this, speaking of Rogue and Ranger earlier, is the way Slash will play a very aggressive smoke inside Penthouse itself, playing that shotgun up to the window, and just that sheer aggression on holding that part of the room that normally is just completely abandoned. Really seems to work out for them. We don't really see other teams doing that. And maybe that just the level of aggression on that Penthouse room itself is something other teams could look to do to maybe be able to shore up the defenses on this site.
Well, they're going to be playing an open VIP wall hold, which is a little bit different. We're talking about things teams can do differently in order to give themselves an advantage, and this is certainly one of them. One of the things they can do differently. Whether or not it's going to give them an advantage remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's a risky thing to do because you definitely open yourself up. And we're just talking about playing aggressively inside the Penthouse. Of course, you're not going to do that necessarily with that open hole unless you know you have the advantage in those gunfights. But it can be great for retake situations, of course.
Absolutely can. Ion on the south balcony, aware of the pressure being applied from that window, passively by Julio. He doesn't even need to peek it to keep Ion focused on. Hugzord will drone it out, though, so Ion going to be prompted. He can push into Aquarium if he so chooses to. And from Aqua, he can peek Luggage Hallway, which will apply pressure to the VIP room, which of course is where the defenders are choosing to hold right now. It's an important position for them. Julio going to eat some bullets from an unknown source, and he will be rotating back into sight.
Unfortunately for him, it wasn't one of his 3 holograms taking the damage. But Doc is there from PZD, heal him right back up, so no harm, no foul.
It's actually going to, I believe he just got overkilled,
yeah, I think
too.
So.
Oh, they're going to go all the way there. A 20 HP Doc stem being used.
Might as well. They can play it aggressively again if he wants to. Although I think he's going to play it a bit more back there into the actual Penthouse, trying to peek aggressively even on the bathroom hatch. But iBlacks, in the meantime, is taking control at least of Billiards. They are going to be playing this window I was just talking about via Panico, but Julio going to hang out right underneath the window, looking for an opportunity.
Yeah. You can see Julio's going to be able to peek up whenever he wants to get that kill. That's Panico is going to get on drone, so he leaves himself exposed. He clearly does not know of the proximity of Julio right now.
No.
But there are other things going on. Of course, the whole site set up open means the defenders, as they start to lose ground, are going to feel more and more pressure from the attack. They have not lost VIP yet, which is very important. but they are feeling pressure from that luggage hallway. Speaking of luggage hallway pressure, it has been alleviated by Kamikaze. Nice headshot onto Ion, and now the defenders are feeling much more safe in Projector. Grenade from Panico forcing the defenders off of the immediate doorway. PZD will get the second kill for the defense on iBlacks, but Panico able to refrag onto Psycho. Still those 3 ACOGs in play for Ninjas Pyjamas, so they're enjoying a lot of angle play right now. That was clearly the strategy for them. Open up all the angles and, well, use them. It's been working out pretty well as they will get Panico, but Hugzord able to get Kamikaze through a pre-opened hole by the defense. And as we always like to say, as we've said before, those angles work both ways. Hugzord, if he just peeks just a little bit more there, would have seen the head of his opponent, but as a result of not peeking, PZD will get an easy kill before GDN is able to refrag. He will be finally shut down by Julio, and Ninjas Pyjamas take that round 4-4, which means we will be seeing every single round played in this match.
Well, it looks like the rehouse did help there in terms of switching the momentum to Ninja Pyjama side. Although, of course, it has been somewhat defensive favored so far. We saw 3 defensive wins on the first half, and we're at 2-1 here on the second half.
Which one are you talking about? The first rehost or the second rehost? Because Ninjas Pyjamas got a
second rehost.
The second rehost?
Yep.
They got a round win after both of the rehosts.
Oh, wow.
So I think it definitely helped them in both situations.
That's good
Yeah.
for them. Either way, though, they're going to try Hookah again, as they kind of need to, because they won their 2 other sites. So we'll see a 6-pick from Psycho from Ella onto Pulse, and a blitz to Buck from Panico. Interesting choices there.
These changes make a lot of sense, of course. Blitz, while useful, I mean, you're going to want the soft destruction on Coastline 9 times out of 10. Of course, Pulse, as an operator, just excels on this map. This is one of the best Pulse maps, up there with the likes of Oregon and Consulate and stuff like that.
Well, we'll see, though, if he's going to use that C4 effectively. That is the important part. I mean, it's going to be on to... Normally, you usually use that for Penthouse we're talking about, but this is going to be for Hookah itself. But there is still plenty of room for them to use that from down below in the bar. So, he is going to be roaming around for the moment, though, looking for any drones. He is going to find one in Hugzord, but they're going to know now that there is that Pulse playing downstairs. So, assuming they saw him in time, that 6th pick now revealed, and they have an idea what his scheme is going to be.
His scheme.
His masterminded
The
scheme.
scheme of roaming downstairs as Pulse.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk it?
He's a mastermind. Unheard of strategies here from Ninjas Pyjamas. Sorry.
That's why he had to shave his head. His hair was getting in the way of all of his ideas.
Yeah, that was it. That was the reason why.
I mean, it's not in the lore yet, but
How old is Pulse in the lore? I want to say he's probably like, what, 30, 34, something like that?
that's what I would guess off of his looks.
No, I think he was probably just starting to bald.
Poor guy, he just took it all the way.
Wow, that is a shaky camera. I'm not sure what's going on there.
It's bumpy. The suspension's not working great on the drone.
It's a hover drone. Devin, what are you talking about?
That was the joke.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll see if now the loss of one drone, we'll see if we can use the other one effectively enough. But it seems like a lot of utility is being caught out here. They're catching the yokai drones. They know what Pulse is up to. They have some idea how to attack this, but we'll see if they end up lost like you were talking earlier, where teams can kind of look lost on it, or if they're just going to quickly adapt to the information they've been given.
Well, Nip are choosing to employ the wait and see strategy, which has worked out pretty well for them over the last 2 rounds. But not able to, or T1 not able to get any actual bites into the Nip defense just yet, but they're choosing to go for an aquarium take yet again, as it has been left undefended.
Wow, second time.
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly Ninjas Pyjamas are just trying to hold this site from afar, which is definitely viable, but it might cost them the same way it cost them the last time they tried to hold this.
Yeah.
This time they have not lost Julio immediately into the round, but they will lose a yokai drone, which is also a heavy hit onto this hold.
Well, we did see Echo make a good fight last time, and he did so there. Didn't seem to need his yokai. In fact, getting taken off of it just forced him to fight that. So a good early kill onto the Buck for him, and that's some grenades potentially off the board if they weren't already used.
Ian also going to eat a lot of damage from that gas canister and the previous engagement, so As he starts his site push, he will be eliminated with relative ease. GDN, speaking of relative ease, will take down PZD as he rotates over to the luggage. Although a very out of position GTN is not going to be able to support his teammate of Hugzord as he goes for the plant. Ion will land the headshot on Psycho, but the push from Kamikaze, or Julio, will take down Ion. Now, iBlocks and GDN, the last two attackers, and they're so far out of position. You could see the push, though, finally from Blue Stairs will be shut down. iBlocks eliminated. And the final kill here for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They will take the round, and they will put themselves on match point. 5-4 their favor. Now, this is, yet again, the community vote. Batten 1,000 if NiP gets one more round.
Yep, it's certainly looking possible. The fact that they won Penthouse as well as their second time on Hookah, they pretty much won all their sites. And that leaves a bad position here for Team 1, especially going against Kitchen, which is another strong site here. So unless they've got something up their sleeve to try and bring this to a tie, this is looking like it could go that 6-4 way of Ninjas in Pyjamas. All that momentum from Team 1 seems to just have been lost after that first attack win. Guess the rehost did not benefit them.
No, it seems it did not. Now, Kitchen service entrance for the next defense here for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and this is of course the most coveted bomb site on all of the map, which leads me, and I'm sure most people, to believe that Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to be able to lock this out. The strategy that T1 used to attack this site last time was to rush in through delivery and die.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they won't do that again, but the question is, what will they do?
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting idea, but just unfortunately, there is some flaws in that, as we saw. We'll see, though, they might have a little more robust attack this time. Might take control of bar, maybe take some control above in Penthouse and VIP. But whether or not they'll be able to turn that into anything is hard to say. There is no... Now, last time there was a GDN on Smoke. I mean, when it was the other way around, when it was Team 1 defending it. GDN from Smoke from below with the shotgun was very effective in holding upwards. You don't have that same player here on Ninjas in Pyjamas. They're not playing as Smoke, but you do have, I suppose, some other interesting ways of playing it. You have the probably both bailiffs coming out from Julio and Kamikaze, as well as, of course, a couple of ACOGs coming out from the Maestro and the Echo.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of ACOG-heavy strategy being used by Ninjas in Pyjamas. When they defended Penthouse, as an example, they opened up all those angles. Yeah, sorry, pardon me. They opened up all those ankles, and through those ankles, they tried to fight their opponents, the attackers, head on using those ACOGs, and it managed to work out for them. We always like to say the ankles are two-way.
Yeah, you got to worry about that with the ACOGs.
Mm-hmm. And the defenders can use ankles as well as attackers.
Well, it does give them a leg up sometimes. But we'll see if this drone here is going to work out.
Did you mean to do that?
Yeah, of course.
Good.
I'm a terrible person.
High five.
All right.
All right. T1 taking control of the south office. From the south office, you have a decent chunk of the map already in your favor. One thing they're going to have to consider is Julio, who is playing inside of that open area. One thing about open area is that it often goes undroned by the attackers. So if, as a defender, you're able to play in that corner like Julio is, this can give you a lot of flank potential. And we've seen teams really utilize that position well.
Yeah, I mean, if you assume that no one's going to play it because it's too risky, then you're going to assume no one's there. And that exactly works in Julio's favor. Unfortunately, just can't land the shots.
Yeah, really bad engagement there from Julio. He had the opportunity and he missed it. So his position given away, he'll have to rotate to another. And luckily his gadget is doing something useful over by the bar. Psycho stuck when Sunrise and iBlacks will just rush into him. And there you go. Sunrise bar in control of the attackers now. And Psycho not able to do anything in this round, really.
Well, that is just the start, of course. Taking control of Sunrise is not the end-all be-all, and of course it's going to be spotted by the Evil Eye. But that is progress. 45 seconds left, though, to try and turn that into something else. They don't have control of that castle in the lobby. They are going to take out at least an Evil Eye. That's going to force Kamikaze to fight more with his ACOG, similar to what we see WAG having to do with his when he loses those yokais. So advantage, in theory, over to Team 1, but time is not on their side here.
Yokai drone going to continue to disrupt this attack as it comes down to the last couple seconds. There's still a Yokai in the site to deny the defuse plant when it should come down. Julio just going to play his, just an impression of a mime in the main lobby.
Holding a heck of an angle.
This is clearly a strategy. As you can see, he's freezing time. 21 seconds left on the clock, and that round will conclude without us getting to see it.
The tension.
In absolute certainty. So, yeah, it's either going to be a draw or a win. Don't know which. We'll find out in just a second.
Schrodinger's scoreline.
Schrodinger's scoreline.
It'll either be a win or a tie.
It could be either one.
It can't
and
be,
you won't know
yeah.
until you get to see it.
It can't be a loss for Ninjas in Pyjamas, though, right? So
true. So there's one thing that it cannot be.
Good to know.
Because they already have secured that 5-round scoreline.
Oh. Wow, that was tense at the end there too.
Yeah, I was getting
really
there.
Not sure which way that's gonna go.
I was getting an action-packed round. Very intense for sure.
Honestly, not feeling Team 1's attack on that with the amount of defenders that were still spread out with a lot of control.
Yeah.
Even if they get the plant down, so much retake potential.
Well, it's a bit of a rock, paper, scissors. It could have gone either way, but I'm gonna put my money on Nip for that round.
Same.
I'm gonna /bet space Nip space 2 donuts.
Oh, square donuts?
One square donut.
Yeah, that's fine. You just
and another normal donut.
hedge your bets.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, either way, I imagine we'll find out the results of that soon, but either way, that was a tense conclusion there.
Yeah.
That,
so it's definitely over. We're not replaying the round or anything. So it's 5-5. It was a draw, so I just lost 2 donuts.
All right, well, you know what?
Good job.
Donuts are also zeros, so you lost your zeros. But either way, a good comeback there from Team 1, and that.
Or so we think. It was a comeback, but was it a good one?